And welcome in to Engage 8, your daily segment brought to you by the members of the Blitz Pod, where we go over 8 minutes of the hardest hitting NFL news, some of the stuff we see coming across the wire today. So given that we only have 8 minutes, let's dive right into it. And some of the biggest news that we want to cover that came out yesterday shortly after the game, it was pretty shortly after Sunday, I guess. Sam Ehlinger is now the starting quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts. Matt Ryan is officially benched in Indy. So, he was named the starter after Matt Ryan had a grade 2 shoulder separation. He's inactive this week, but Frank Reich made it pretty clear that Sam was going to be the rest of the season guy, despite Matt Ryan having the injury. So, this season, Matt Ryan has been dog shit. 57.2 overall PFF grade, which ranks 32nd in the league, second in attempts, second in sacks, first in interceptions. I mean, those are pretty three glaring categories to be towards the top of. But now we see the new age of Sam Ehlinger, 2021 6th-round pick out of Texas. He's most famous for saying, "We're back" at Texas, if you remember that. But he's generated interest across the league after having an impressive preseason. 90.6 overall PFF grade, which is nasty. While at Texas, he started 9 games as a freshman. He threw for almost 1,200 career yards, almost 100 touchdowns, and 94 over 46 games. So, you think this is the right or wrong decision in Indy, man?
I mean, you kind of hamstrung yourself by going to get this. This is your 6th starting quarterback in 5 years. So you were kind of stuck to Matt Ryan unless you really wanted to go to Sam Ehlinger. I mean, he's 6th-round pick. So clearly the traits weren't all there in the draft. It's not like you had a guy like a Jordan Love waiting until Matt Ryan was ready to go. But there are 4 guys with worse PFF grades on the season so far, worse than Matt Ryan. Cooper Rush, backup. Joe Flacco, backup. Mac Jones, maybe a backup. And Baker Mayfield, who could actively become a backup after the performance we just saw from PJ Walker, who had a 94 PFF grade on Sunday, but we'll talk about that in the pod tonight. Look, it's not been pretty with Matt Ryan. They're 3-3-1. So they were winning games, and almost in spite of Matt Ryan. I mean, you didn't have Jonathan Taylor for a few weeks. He was able to get you through that, was competitive in multiple games. Beat Kansas City. This is the team that I know you've got very high. I've got very high. Everybody's got the Chiefs very high. But I don't really know what this means for the Colts because I've never really seen Sam Ehlinger play. No one's seen him start in a regular season game. Obviously, preseason is a much different ball game, but Jonathan Taylor has not been himself this season, has not been the guy that we saw being the 101 for fantasy all of last year. He did start kind of slow last year, so there's a chance that could be what's happening here. Also, Michael Pittman, who's been relatively inconsistent. He's had couple great games, couple really poor games. Last week was one of those games. I think I'm moving them down power rankings wise moving forward. I know Matt Ryan was terrible, but I feel like Sam Ehlinger can't be that much better. He just got moved up in front of Nick Foles just last week. I thought the timing of the way that they announced this was very weird. Like, Frank Reich first announced, it was reported anyway, that Matt Ryan would be benched and Sam Ehlinger would be the starter. And then they announced that Matt Ryan would be inactive this week with a grade 2 shoulder sprain. And then after that, Frank Reich said that we're going to be moving forward with Sam Ehlinger. I feel like this is like the last ditch effort to try and save their jobs. I know Frank Reich's a fantastic coach. Chris Ballard's a fantastic GM. But you're not producing results. I mean, this is the second year in a row that you haven't gone to the playoffs with a team that's capable of making the playoffs, and I don't know if Sam Ehlinger's going to fix that problem.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it'll be interesting to see how it shapes out. I do overall think that this Colts team is better off with Sam Ehlinger at the helm. At least the thing that I see, and this has fantasy implications too, obviously, Jonathan Taylor, I think his stock only goes up from here. I think they'll be able to work the play action a lot more effectively without Matt Ryan at the helm. So that means more than just like 12 carries, I think is what he got on Sunday. More than just 12 carries against the Titans. We're looking for more like 30 carries from Jonathan Taylor, and I think that Sam Ehlinger will help make that happen. As far as Michael Pittman, I don't like it, dude. I really don't like it. backup quarterbacks have a history of playing, throwing it to the guys that they throw to in practice, that they're getting the practice reps with, and those tend to be guys that are lower on the depth chart. And in a place like Indy, with Alec Pierce showing a lot of promise, Paris Campbell popping out these past few weeks, like that might mean more good things for those guys and bad things for Michael Pittman going forward. But to round this out, man, are we seeing the end of Matt Ryan, dude? Is this officially the end of a one-time MVP quarterback?
I think that I think this is probably it. I mean, this was probably his last chance to be a starter. Maybe he comes back next year as a backup. I don't know if it'll be with the Colts because they do have an out after this year. It's going to be a big, expensive out, but they do have an out if they want to get their seventh starting quarterback in 6 years and they want to go after some other vet. I feel like Jameis Winston, they might go after Baker since they want to keep bargain hunting. But Michael Pittman, I feel like on the contrary, though, he's wide receiver on that team. You could just hyper target him because he's going to be the guy that's going to give you the best results most often. You've also got to think the guys that Sam Ehlinger was playing with aren't playing for the Colts. Last week of 64 offensive snaps, Michael Pittman played 64, Alec Pierce played 63, and Paris Campbell played 62. There's not too many guys getting on the field in the wide receiver room that were playing with the second or even third stringers, which is what he was up until about 8 days ago. So I think that you talked about it with Taylor. He's probably going to go up, and that's another thing that Sam Ehlinger provides is that rushing ability. Ryan, at this point in his career, just can't. Like, he can run the ball a little bit. You can maybe lean into some easier read option stuff to get the ground game working with Jonathan Taylor, but I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm a Michael Pittman owner, and I would love to see him be hyper targeted. But I mean, you feel better with the ball in Michael Pittman's hands than really anybody else on this offense other than Jonathan Taylor. So maybe that's what they start to lean into with Ehlinger moving forward.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. As far as Ehlinger goes, I mean, we could see him be the quarterback in Indy for if he pans out this year for a solid amount of time, because I don't think after Indy has struck out twice on free agent / trade acquisitions. Well, 2 trade acquisitions in Carson Wentz. Well, Phillip Rivers was free agency. That was a good one, but didn't really make it too far in the playoffs. But then you got Wentz, and now you strike out with Ryan. So they aren't going to look to the trade pool again for a quarterback. They'll be looking for a young guy. They'll be looking to draft a quarterback. So if Ehlinger turns out, yeah, he could be the guy. But do they end up in a position for a guy like Stroud?
I don't think they end up that high. They might have already won too many games for that, especially with teams like the Lions sitting at 1-5. But we were just talking about Will Levis. I mean, he has put himself in that tier with C.J. Stroud. We could see quarterbacks go 1, 2, 3 with C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young, and Will Levis in some order. There's also guys like Hendon Hooker, Anthony Richardson also in that mix if they have a strong finish to the season. So this is going to be a very strong and very deep quarterback class that Indy can get involved in now that they have a first-round pick, and I think they're going to need to do so. I mean, I haven't seen him play yet, but the 6 investment, and this is a team that can go to the playoffs. You don't want to be that team that they've been for the last couple of years. We're like, oh, we're such a good team. We got a great running game, great defense, but our quarterback is holding us back. You want to go out and get that guy with the elite traits, and I think that's what they should do, especially if they have the draft position to do so.
Yeah, good shit, man. All right, well, that rounds us out for our daily Engage 8 segment. We'll catch you tomorrow. Peace.